Hope you all are well. It is September 11th, 2024. It's 10:30 in the morning. I am in Queens. I'm in Howard Beach, Queens. I guess technically Lindenwood at the moment. I'm going to be taking a ride way out to Western New Jersey. It is going to take me approximately an hour and 40 minutes. Needless to say, this is a pretty significant day in American history, in the world's history, in personal lives of those of us here in New York City, those of us in the surrounding areas. One of the things that always fascinated me about many things fascinated me or disgusted me about that day, but one of the things that was fascinating was when you'd see all the victims that were in the towers, and so many of them were not from New York City, which is no surprise really, but it's fascinating to see. You had so many people that working in those towers that were from Connecticut, obviously from Jersey, Long Island, which is New York, Boston. There are plenty of people on that victim list from Massachusetts. People that would commute into New York City every single day from the surrounding area. I think the blow that the fire department took was more local, although yes, you have some firefighters now that live out in Long Island, but in terms of the force, the firefighters, I'd have to assume that 90% of those that lost their lives came from the boroughs of New York City and or Long Island. The neighborhood that I grew up in Marine Park, Brooklyn, which is not too far from where I am right now, just a couple of exits up ahead on the Bell Parkway, was notorious for having civil servants, I guess you could say, in the neighborhood. Notorious for having garbage men, sanitation workers, police officers, firefighters. There's a number of blocks in my neighborhood that have been renamed. One of them in particular, Timothy Stackpole Way. I went to school with the Stackpoles. It hit hard. It hits hard in a lot of different ways. I plan on, if I can, or if it works out, if the timing works out, we'll see how the day goes, but I plan on trying to tell my story today on Thindu show over at 2:30 p.m. That Thindu, he thinks he owns that slot at 2:30 p.m. That pesky son of a... Hey, Ben. Ben, well, I'll say before I hit Jersey. How about that? I'll probably be in Jersey in about 35 minutes. I'd say before we get to Jersey, he'll pop his head in here. Ben, hope you're well, cousin Paulie. Hope you're well. It's always fascinating too to kind of go back and to listen to the news coverage from that day. I have a few things queued up on the other device. Some stuff, it's fascinating stuff from TV. There's, the Good Day New York or Good Morning America was on, or whatever. The Today Show, I think, with Matt Lauer. And this was all before they all went completely woke. Hey, cousin Paulie, what's going on, cuz? What's going on, cuz? How you doing? You had some excitement in your city last night over there with the two chooches over there going back and forth over there. Hope you're well, cuz. Hope you're well. You had the two chooches in your city last night debating over there. They should have been debating over whether or not whether or not American cheese should be yellow or not. But anyway, we won't get on that, cuz. I hope you're well. So anyway, yeah, I have a nice little ride ahead of us. To Cuz, to Ben, and to the other individual listening, I'll let you know that Fortunately, I didn't lose anyone in my immediate family, thank God, on 9/11, but it was a unbelievably chaotic time. I was in Manhattan when this was all going down. I was on 16th Street between 5th and 6th. So anyone who knows Manhattan knows it's a grid. You know, the World Trade Center is downtown. Then you have, a couple of miles before you hit the, a couple of miles before you go up and hit the numbered blocks. And then I was on 16th Street. So I was in Chelsea. And I walked home. Walked home that day. It was wild. It was definitely wild. Walked over the Manhattan Bridge. Walked to actually what was a very, very, very famous house in Beth Beach, Brooklyn. Cause I'm okay. I'll tell you this much. In general, personally, cause I have not been in the greatest mood or state of mind going on a couple of weeks now, going on a couple of weeks. Just very blah. But then, once this day is just, I don't know, I mean, you guys are close enough. You're in a major city. You understand. I mean, you'll lose, I don't even know what the number is, 3,000 people in one shot. Like, there was just so much just yuck in the hitting one. But again, I didn't even anyone. But just for an example, I mean, I was in high school. I was in Manhattan. They came over the loudspeaker. The headmaster, Father David Sansamino, came over the loudspeaker, and he said that there was an accident. There was an accident by the World Trade Center. If you have a parent that works in the buildings, come down to the office, and we'll figure out, how your parent's doing. And I'll never forget it. As soon as they made that announcement, there was a kid in my class. His name was Konstantin Economos. Obviously Greek. Konstantin Economos. And his dad worked on Wall Street down there. Well, we say worked on Wall Street. Down there, downtown. Worked in the towers. And he didn't survive. The kid, I remember like yesterday, the kid popped up, oh shit, my dad works in that building, and he went down to the principal's office. Next thing we knew, the kid, we were finding out when the kids, the father's funeral arrangements. Let me get into it a bit. I was in high school. I was living in Brooklyn, but I was in high school in Manhattan. So I had taken the subway to school that day. I was the only one who took the subway to high school. It was a B day. I believe it was a Tuesday. A beautiful day, just like today. Clear blue skies. You'll hear it in this little clip. I'll play this clip for you in a little while. It's fascinating because it comes on with the weather. It was going to be a high 80 degrees. It was going to be even warmer than it is today. Beautiful, clear skies. You could see planes from a mile away, like that one right up there. Beautiful day. So at around whatever time it was, before 9 o'clock anyway. So we were in first period biology, and it was a B day. So that meant that it was biology lab back to back. So we had biology first period, and we had biology second period. But we were in the lab. We were in the biology lab. We weren't in a regular classroom. So what did the lab have? The lab had televisions. televisions. The lab had televisions. My lab at the time was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Hamilton, who was also the assistant baseball coach. So he was a cool guy. He was a young kid. Anyway, they come on and they make the announcement. Hey, there's been an accident at the World Trade Center. Someone has accidentally flown into the World Trade Center. I might be drunk. I don't know. If you have a parent that works down in the Trade Center, please come down to the office. Again, Economos pops up. He goes down to his office. His father doesn't make it. We become friends, very good friends. So now we're in biology lab, and what does Mr. Hamilton do? He turns on the television. So me and my class were fortunate and or unfortunate enough to be able to watch the events unfold over the next hour, because you figure it was 40-minute periods. I think the first period started right around 8:20. The first plane hit right around, I think, 8:50, around there. So it was a good hour, because we had, the rest of that period and then the next period in this biology lab, the television on, seeing what was going on. That's how the day started. That's how the day started. But it's a whole, it's wild. It really is. But listen to this. Listen to this. Just listen to this news coverage. This is fascinating stuff. As we're on the Belt Parkway, South Shore of Brooklyn, heading towards Jersey. But take a listen to this.
Lead-free paint chips. They snatch it all away. So if you know how poor you were, now you really knows.
John Leguizamo set up at the Royale Theater. Call Telecharge 212-239-6200.
10 wins AccuWeather, plenty of sun, breezy and pleasant day, the high 80. Tonight will be clear and cool with a low of 60 in Midtown, but down to 52 in suburbs. Right now, 64 degrees and sunny in New York. Wins News Time 8:45. Time for 1010 Wins Sports with Steve Torrey.
He's been planning for and working hard.
Now listen to this. How fascinating is this sports report right here? It actually caught me off guard, because before I was listening to this. All right, cuz, I'll see you, bud. I'm gonna play this news coverage for the ride. I'll talk on Dean Doo's show. But listen, this is because you'll like this. Listen to this real quick.
Towards another comeback, and now it does appear the twice retired Michael Jordan will be turning to the NBA again, this time as a member of the Washington Wizards. Michael, now 38, dropped some big hints yesterday, all but confirming his return, saying, quote, "I'm doing it for the love of the game." No official announcement, but one is expected sometime next week, so unless something drastic happens, like perhaps an injury.
Hey, Carlos, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining, buddy. Appreciate you coming around, Carlos, man. Nice to see you. I don't know if you were in New York back in 2000. I don't think so. You were already down in Florida, but I'm sure, it affected you just like any. See on the other side of the road, a lot of cops coming back from downtown Manhattan, because they must all be leaving that ceremony downtown. So they'd be coming towards us on the Belt Parkway. I've seen a bunch of them already. But I'm just playing, I think I lost you there. Yep. Damn. The service might be rough today too, because you got a lot of radio communications and junk like that in the area. But yeah, Carlos, come over to Dean Doo's show if your heart inclines later. We'll be talking about it. But listen to this. This is as it happened the morning, 1010 Wins News. So just so that you people not from New York know, this is the same radio station, in the movie Goodfellas, when Henry Hill is in the shower and he hears the radio report that the Lufthansa heist was a success, and he does the Jimmy! That's playing on 1010 Wins News Radio, which is what you're listening to right here, which was, the sound of news to New York. It's how we heard our news in the morning. But anyway, this is the news coverage from the morning of. You left in 2000. Okay, gotcha. So you left right before. In 2000, right before this occurred, September 11, 2001. So let's check this out. Let's listen up.
For Michael to make his return October 30th, opening night of the NBA, Madison Square.
Oh, it's damn beeping.
Oh, they were much more than the Jets, but that wasn't too hard to do. Came down to the Giants' inability to control secondary. Giants dropped their opener in Monday Night Broncos in Denver's new Invesco Field at Mile High, 31-20. Kerry Collins says pretty good start, bad finish.
Came out playing hard, and we didn't let the noise or the environment get to us. Came out in the second half, did exactly what we wanted to do, and put up a touchdown on the opening drive. And from then on, we just we never got it going.
Yeah, this was a 14-14 game midway through the third, but the Broncos then scored 17 unanswered and put it away. Greasy burned them for 330 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, including 1 to ex-Giant Ed McCaffrey.
Where we are in this time frame, we're at about 8:46 in the morning on this radio program. About a minute or two, right? The planes are hitting right now, basically. The first plane, I think, was 8:47. So the news is it's either just happening and the news is going to find out momentarily. Check this out. This is fascinating. About to go over the Verrazano Bridge, heading over into Staten Island. I'm going to try to give you a little view of downtown Manhattan while we're on the bridge. I'll see if I can pull it off for you. But listen to this. Yeah, the Broncos. Yeah, it's fascinating listening to this stuff.
Against the Pirates with 18 to go. Mets are 8 back of the Braves. And the Mets.
Oh, the Mets are 8 back of the Braves. What a shock.
Scored last night 7-4 to take that first game of the best of 3 New York Penn League Championship Series. Sports at 15 and 45 around the clock and anytime on the web at 1010wins.com. Steve Torrey, 1010 Wins Sports.
Here we go.
News time 8:47.
8:47. The plane was hitting right now. News isn't reporting it yet. They don't know about it yet, but 8:47 is when it was hitting. First plane. I believe the South Tower.
Powerhouse engine plus 64 cubic feet of space in the rear, and the ultimate, the all-aluminum S8 with a 360.
Let me skip forward a little bit here. Nah, I don't want to miss it.
Equipped with Audi's legendary Quattro all-wheel drive. See what Audi's enduring racing heritage can bring to a road near you. The Audi S-Line. Yield to no one.
Test drive the 250 horsepower bi-turbo blistering fast Audi S4 at your tri-state area Audi dealer today. Celebrate Audi's Le Mans victory with extremes in all race-bred S4 models.
It's 64 degrees.
Here we go.
Sunny in New York, going up to a sunny 80 today in Midtown. Wins News Time 8:48. You wouldn't buy an overpriced car. Why buy overpriced?
More commercials. Tommy Stiliano, how you doing, sir? Ben, I should have bet before Staten Island, Ben. But Stiggs has made his entrance. On a Hackettstown, Stiggs. If you want to grab a slice later, let me know. Shoot me a text. I'll be in Hackettstown, then I'm going to Dover.
The former New York City school teacher appeared before a federal judge in Manhattan yesterday, accused of being a fugitive hijacker.
Maddie, how you doing, bud? Hope you're well. We're listening to the news coverage as it happened on 1010 Wins News. I'm in Staten Island right now. The first plane just hit where the news is, but they haven't reported it yet. We're waiting for it to come. It's fascinating stuff. We just heard Michael Jordan coming back to the Wizards, and the Mets are 8 back of the Braves, and they're selling Audi A4s for like $200 a month. Hope you're well, Maddie. Stiggs, I'm going to Hackettstown. Let me know if you want to grab pizza on my way back.
Truce talks between Israel and the Palestinians will not be held today as scheduled. They were put off in a dispute over where to hold the talks, and after Israeli troops today fired...
Talks between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Palestinians were injured. Israel says the town was the staging ground of Palestinian terrorist attacks. A rally in support of Israel is being planned for later this month in Manhattan.
The Solidarity Rally in New York City in support of Israel is a crucial undertaking, according to...
Wow, in 2000, we were having rallies in New York in support of Israel. How times have changed. Yeah, Tommy, Hackettstown. Might as well be Pennsylvania.
This is
is one of those.
Oh, Maddie, I'm listening to the morning of September 11th on 1010 Wins News. And the morning of September 11th is when 1010 Wins News, the news report, announced that Michael Jordan was going to be making a return to the Washington Wizards. So we just heard that.
Wins News Time 8:50. A major player on Wall Street is hit with a sex bias case. The story from 1010 Wins senior
This
correspondent.
idiot in his BMW, I swear, if I wasn't live right now, I'd probably be running him off the road by now.
Pay and other benefits. And EEOC chairwoman Carrie Dominguez says when one of the women
Who? Carrie who?
Stanley retaliated against her by firing her.
To complain equates to...
Here we go.
On 1010.
Here we go. Here we go.
This just into our newsroom. A plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. Let's get this live update from 1010 Wins correspondent Joe. Joe, what do you see?
Well, I'm standing on the top of my roof, and I'm looking at the World Trade Center, and there's a huge hole in it, and there's a fire in the building right now. Huge smoke pouring out of it, and things are falling from the building itself. It's about 3/4 from the top, oh, well, maybe a quarter from the top of the building where it's completely, there's a huge hole in the building.
All right, 1010 Wins correspondent John Fleischer on the scene in Lower Manhattan. Any emergency personnel on the scene as of yet, John, that you see?
I can't see anybody, but I hear the fire trucks, and I heard the plane very close to the top of the buildings. I looked outside, and I saw it hit, and it exploded immediately.
Did you manage to see what kind of plane it was?
I couldn't tell. It was a smaller plane. It looked like a smaller plane, but I couldn't tell. I'm not really sure. I would say it wasn't a huge jet, but it was a plane that sounded like it was a fighter jet overhead, and then I saw it explode. It was too close to the buildings.
Are you able to see any wreckage on the ground where you're
No,
standing?
I'm too far. I'm too high up. No, I can't see anything other than there's a huge hole in the side of the building and a fire inside. Tons of smoke pouring out. I can hear from the fire trucks that there's a lot of fire personnel and police personnel over there. And I can see things in the sky that look like, I don't know if it came out of the other side of the building. I really don't know where it landed, but it's a huge fire now in the World Trade Center.
Apparently that is towards the top of the building.
Yeah.
This would be the World Trade Center building that has the television and radio antenna at the top.
Correct.
And we can see via television pictures large plumes of black smoke, as you mentioned, and it seems to be concentrated at the top of the building, correct?
Correct. Yes. I mean, I can't see anybody up there yet. It doesn't seem like personnel got over there at all on top yet. I don't see anybody on the top of any of the buildings. And the building behind it is completely obscured by smoke.
Okay, and what is your vantage right now?
I'm looking right at it. I'm on North Moore Street on my roof. I can see it perfectly. I can see the flame inside. I see where it hit. So the plane hit on my side.
There is a gaping hole, and that appears to be on the north side of the building?
Yes, that's correct. It's huge.
It looks like the hole covers a number of floors.
Yes.
It's difficult to tell just how many, but as you've mentioned, there is that thick black smoke now emanating from the building, and apparently we're getting reports of debris falling to the street below.
Right, that's what I can see, but I can't really see what it is. I'm too far, but when I first came upstairs and called you, I realized that there were things falling from the building, but I can't tell what size it is. It's just in the air. And as you can probably hear, there's tons of fire trucks rushing to the scene.
Now, this happened about what time this morning, Joan?
I'm telling you, it happened maybe 10 minutes ago. I called immediately because I heard the plane overhead. I looked out of my window and I said, that's so close. And then
We heard that plane go overhead in high school. I remember distinctly because you used to, traffic patterns and right now at this point, everyone's thinking this is an accident. And no one's really thinking the towers are going to go down or the building's going to go down. Everyone's kind of just thinking like this was an accident. Some idiot in a small plane just hit the World Trade Center. I think the idea was that they were going to evacuate through the roof. They were going to just start sending helicopters to the roof, have people go up You know, people that were above the damage were going to go up. People below the damage were going to go down. You know, think about how many people just died already. That whole plane and anyone in those floors worked. Sick. Debris, yeah, debris was flying everywhere, of course. Before you knew it, people were flying out the friggin' windows. Let's just continue on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I heard the plane being overhead, and there's a lot of people on the roofs nearby that are looking also. They heard the same thing. Because it was really close. I mean, I've never heard a plane that close over here. And it almost hit one of the residential buildings, but now it definitely hit the World Trade Center. It was that close.
And it looks like a direct hit from where you're standing?
Yes. Oh, it definitely, that's where it hit. It was no doubt about it. It's a direct hit. It went right through, I don't know.
There is some question as to how they were so skilled to be moving that quickly and hit their target so well. Maybe they got lucky.
Lots of thick black smoke coming from the top of the World Trade Center. It looked like the plane struck about quarters of the way up, maybe a little higher.
Yeah, I can't tell the floors from here, but it's...
Tommy, correct me if I'm wrong. It's fascinating where they trained. I know exactly what you're talking about. But those flights, they didn't take off from Newark, right? They took off from Boston Logan, if I'm correct? Or did they take off from Newark?
World Trade Center.
If you're just tuning in, breaking news here on 1010 Wins. A plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. This happening just a matter of minutes ago. An aircraft, we're not sure of the make of the aircraft. Apparently a direct hit into one of the twin towers. And there's a large plume of black smoke now emanating from one of the towers, almost all the way towards the top of the tower. 1010 Wins correspondent Jones is with us. And that smoke appears to be going straight up, and there appears to be more of it by the minute.
Oh yeah, it's completely covering the top of the second building, and this one is very dark. I can see the flames from where I am right now, inside of the building.
We should point out that the building affected is the one with the television and radio antenna at the top.
Correct.
Not the one with the observation deck.
That I think is true. But
Not yet.
I believe this is the building with the, it's hard to
Yes, the building had the antenna on the top.
And there is, as we mentioned, this huge gaping hole now.
And as soon as that building went down, obviously all the cell service was lost.
You actually see a plane. Look outside, hear the plane close, and then see the explosion, and then look at the World Trade Center and see a huge hole. The plane wasn't flying straight. It was on its side. It was tipping, going south, tipped to the left. So it looked like it was, I don't know.
I'm in Jersey now, but in the city of Elizabeth. We just crossed over into heading west. I'm basically heading towards Pennsylvania, basically to the Jersey-Pennsylvania border, if you about 20 miles from the Pennsylvania border, I guess you could say. But I'm going to probably be taking 280 out because everyone knows I love 280 to 80.
Yes, I see that. That's why I can't tell you what's on the south side of the building, whether the plane actually went right through. I cannot tell you that. I can't see it. But there's still some debris.
That was a great skinny show yesterday, by the way. Those funny bastards.
Secure the area as a bit, or it sounds like they're still arriving on the scene.
I think they're still arriving, and I can't see. I can only see the top where the plane.
There would be people arriving at that scene for the next 3 months.
Above the building right now, helicopters circling. So I guess they'll have a better report to see from all vantage points than I can.
Of course, as this happened just a matter of minutes ago, it's impossible to give you any word about casualties at this point.
Yeah, I have no idea. I can't imagine what the inside of that building looks like, or hopefully there weren't people in there, but I really can't tell you that.
Hopefully there weren't people in there at 8:47, the World Trade Center, New York City, Wall Street. Come on, lady.
And on top of the building, and what seems like behind the building.
Granted, if they waited a couple hours, there'd probably been more people in there.
The explosion itself was unbelievable. The sound of the plane so close, and then the hit was unbelievable.
Now, you were getting ready to start your day at the time this happened, right?
Yes, I was starting my day. My day had started, and then I heard this plane and looked out of my window, and then saw that it was on its side, and then heard the crash. And came, yes, debris is still coming out of the building. Seems like quite a bit right now.
And what did it sound like when the plane hit the building?
It was an explosion. Like I can't explain it. I can't, relate it to anything else I've ever heard in my life other than it was a direct hit. It's like, when you're a witness to a car accident, you know the hit, the sound of the hit, because you've heard it before. This was like nothing else. And just a huge burst of flame. There's a plane, and now we have planes circling overhead, but I don't know. Helicopters overhead, but I don't know what they're... The fire trucks and police trucks are still arriving. I can hear them.
You're listening to live, continuous coverage of a plane crash into the World Trade Center this morning. This is 1010 Wins WINS New York. I'm James Faraday. Now for more on the story, 1010 Wins newsman Lee Harris. Good morning, and it is not a good morning in New York City. A major disaster, a plane crash into the World Trade Center. We're on the line with 1010 Wins account executive Joan Fleischer, a witness to this terrible unfolding scene. Joan, could you maybe just recap for those just joining us what happened and what you're seeing?
Well, shortly, I think it must have been 15, 20 minutes ago, I heard a plane overhead that seemed awfully close.
So I'm on the New Jersey Turnpike. I'm heading north on the Turnpike. I'm heading towards Tommy Stiggs land / Soprano land. There's a plane right there to our left. That plane to the left is landing at Newark Liberty International Airport, which was known only as Newark Airport prior to 9/11. Tommy, am I correct about this? And after 9/11, it was renamed to Newark Liberty International Airport, I believe. I can see the New York City skyline to my right here. I'm going to give this phone a little tilt so that you folks at home, even though I know Paulie is cursing me up and down for using this video format, which I don't blame him because it does suck as a viewer, but it does provide a much clearer picture quality. And also, on top of that, StreamYard is now charging a ridiculous amount of money. So for someone like myself who does not stream too often, we're just going to stick to this vertical format for now. Cousin Paulie, you're going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry. But anyway, I want to get to the news coverage when the second plane hits, because that's when everything changes. I mean, everything changes when that second plane hits, because as of right now, everyone's still thinking accident. Or if they're thinking, oh, maybe it was intentional, they're thinking it was a little plane and, whatever. Not whatever, but the scope of what was coming, and the fact that you had more planes in the air at the time, another plane that went down in Pennsylvania, another plane that went down in Washington, D.C. This Stiggs, they're still giving the GW Bridge traffic report.
We've been talking with Joan Fleischer, an account executive at 1010 Wins. Right now we're going to switch over to Kai Kendall. He saw the whole thing transpire.
All right, let's see if I can get to...
And again, we're talking about a plane crash into the World Trade Center.
Let me fast forward a bit here.
It's an unfortunate event. Joan Fleischer, nobody at your location saw the second plane. It's point.
Okay, so we missed it there.
This point, and basically just looking outside the store, I finally managed to borrow a phone because my cell phone was certainly not working.
Stock Exchange, which has been evacuated anyway, and is on the ground. Larry, what's your sense in terms of emergency vehicles, and are they able to get to the scene, or is there gridlock? What's going on?
Well, this was prior to the second explosion. It was fairly calm. The street was empty, and it looked like it was available for emergency vehicles, but now certainly lower Manhattan looks a mess.
There's your skyline. Here we go.
On 1010 Wins.
Well, we now have some insight as to what's going on here. Here, the FBI reports that it is investigating reports of a plane. The World Center crashes and explosions. Again, the FBI reporting a possible plane hijacking before the World Trade Center crashes. And again, there are two of those crashes. One caught on videotape. The second one of apparently a jetliner crashing into the second World Trade Center tower. And it's unclear, of course, as to the nature of the first plane that hit the first tower. But a major disaster is unfolding in New York City this morning. Apparent aircraft attacks on the Twin Towers. 1010 Wins reporter Larry Kopsky left his post at Wall Street to go to the scene. Larry, are you still there? Okay, it looks like we've lost Larry for now. And how about Joan Fleischer, 1010 Wins account executive Joan Fleischer? She was the first to call into our live line with her report. Joan, any further information from your vantage point?
Coach Shane, what's up, buddy? How you doing, Coach Shane in Crumel? Hey, bud, nice to hear you today. Sound like a very distinguished man with that accent you got there, Crumel. Hope you well.
Building, as well as the first. It's unbelievable.
You have friends and neighbors who are up on your rooftop with you. What is their reaction? What is their sense of what's going on this morning?
Well, one of the people that's on my building thought that she had seen a helicopter close by, and she thought perhaps the helicopter was the second hit. So she said that was something that she thought had happened, although I didn't see anything like that. She thought that perhaps it was the close proximity to the second building that created the second explosion.
Okay, a lot of conflicting information here this morning. Again, the FBI is investigating reports that a plane was hijacked before the World Trade Center crashes. We also have reports that LaGuardia and JFK are suspending operations, and no doubt with good time. If you're just you may not believe me when I tell you this, but unfortunately it is true. Planes have crashed into both of the Trade Center this morning, causing massive explosions in both towers. I is looking at reports that there was a plane hijacking before the crashes. And while we don't have any reports of casualties at this time, looking at the scene, the gaping holes in both towers, the smoke and flames, it is reasonable to assume that there has been massive loss of life in New York City this morning. Again, this makes the World Trade Center bombing of about 9 years ago look like a relatively minor incident. We will stay with this story and nothing.
People do forget that they did try to bomb the World Trade Center 9 years prior. They didn't do a very good job the first time, fortunately. They tried it with a car bomb in the basement. But so this wasn't the first time that they had tried to hit the World Trade Center.
Nobody at your location saw the second plane hit. I guess it's a vantage point issue.
No, couldn't see it from this side. I didn't see it, and I was here when the second hit. The fire is spreading now. We can see it completely. Oh my God, it's inside the first building, the one with the radio antenna on it, TV antenna. That fire spread. It looks like 2 other floors. And at least 3, one of my neighbors is saying, and the second also growing in
Okay, Joe, we're going to switch over to former 1010 Wins reporter Randy Place. He is down on Broadway. Randy, what is your vantage point and what can you see from there?
Lee, I'm at 52 Broadway on the 17th floor. As I look out, I see smoke pouring out of the World Trade Center building that was hit. I still don't know the story because I've been on the phone trying to report to you. Flames have been pouring out of the window on this one floor, and black smoke is reaching up into the sky. Lee, about 10 minutes before the explosion, we heard one explosion. I understand there was 2. I was looking out of my office, and papers were falling out of the sky. My colleague and I thought it was some kind of a parade where they were throwing papers out of the window. But
so if you look at the wind pattern on that day, the wind was blowing from the northwest. So if you look at a map, the wind was blowing from the northwest. It was blowing from the northwest to the southeast. And if you look at a map, that means that all that smoke and whatever was flying in the wind flew directly towards Brooklyn, to the point where, I swear on everything I love, there were papers, financial documents, all different just type of Wall Street stock, whatever papers, all over my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And still to this day, I break my mother's chops because I collected all. They were stuck in the bushes. They were on the stoop. I'm telling you, they were everywhere. And they had a James Simpson. How you doing, buddy? They had a black burnt crisp around the edges, and they all smelt. They all smelt like there was such a distinct smell in the air that day, and anyone that had that ash on them knows what I'm talking about. Because when I got home, I had that ash all over me. It just smelled like a combination of electrical fire and death. And that's what that ash just smelled. It was like, I'm telling you, if you combine electrical fire and, you know, like if something goes bad in your garbage can and the maggots come around and it's just that smell of death, that mix it with electrical fire. It's exactly just the smell that was in the air. It was disgusting, and that ash, and it was just the grossest thing in the world. But those papers had all that ash all over it, and they were burnt around the edges. They all had like burn marks around them. And I collected them all. I put them all together. I put them in a bag. Would you believe it if I told you my mother threw them all away? She said it made her too upset to have those papers. She had to throw them away. I still break her chops to this day. Like, Ma, I get it, but come on, those are like artifacts. Anyway, we're now on Route 280. We're in New Jersey. We're about to cross over into Newark. We're in Tommy Stiggs land, about to pass the famous Belleville sign. Let's listen into 1010 Wins for some more.
Information we've been able to compile. Let's go to Judy DeAngelis in the 1010 Wins newsroom. Judy.
Well, thank you, Lee. Pretty much you have summed up what we do know, and frankly, it's not a whole lot.
Unreal. Friggin' believable. Unreal. Come on, guy. Like, come on. Come on. You gotta be kidding me, guy. You're in a cement truck. You're just cutting people off into the left lane. You don't belong in the left lane. Come on, guy. Christ.
The World Trade Center. The first explosion we did not see, that was on fire with smoke billowing, flames coming from inside the building, an absolutely huge gaping hole, debris falling down onto the street. As we're watching that horrific scene, another horrific scenario unfolds as we watch a plane actually crash into the second of the two World Trade Towers. Now, the first World Trade Tower that was hit is the one, as you heard James Faraday telling.
Yep, I'm in Tommy Stiggs land right now. Tommy Stiggs land, here we are.
Crashing into the building that houses the observation deck on top. Obviously, at this point, no one has been able to get close enough to find out any immediate word on injury.
You're going to now see what Tommy Stiggs and ALV talk about, how Jersey is fascinating, and you're in these urban areas here. This is as urban as it gets. You're right in Newark, Belleville, Bloomfield, all these different areas just outside of New York City, the New York metropolitan area, extremely urban. Give it, I don't know what, Tommy, about another 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes and we'll be in the country. Fascinating stuff.
Former 1010 Wins reporter Randy Place is down on Broadway. He's been keeping us posted on what he can see from that location. Anything new you've noticed?
No, nothing new. The flames seem to, no, they're still pouring out of the building. The smoke is blacker. One of my colleagues came in and said that the first thing he heard about it is when he stopped at City Hall, and there was an announcement that there was a problem. People had to get out right there.
Yep, Tommy, 5 minutes we're in the suburbs. Why they designed this highway like this, where it gets to real narrow and then opens up, I don't know. New Jersey folk do things a little different here, but once we hit this right here, and we end up going out into the suburbs. It's a regal concept for us New Yorkers, because to us New Yorkers, once you leave New York, you're in the suburbs. So for us to be able to understand, like, Jersey has its own cities, has its own, urban areas, and its own suburbs. We just see it as, oh, it's Jersey, it's the suburbs. It's the suburbs of New York, right? Well, no. See, Jersey's its own state. It has its own cities. It has its own counties. It has its own townships. It has its own thing. So its cities are Newark, Elizabeth, and all them. And then you come out here and you're in the suburbs. It's fascinating. It really is.
infrastructure is just hanging off. There's a gaping hole. It's, I'd say, in the 80s in terms of height, somewhere in the 80th floor, 70th floor, and smoke is billowing up to the top floors, and it's coming out of the building. Everybody on Wall Street is out on the streets. Everybody's scared. Mainly the reaction I got was anger more than anything, rather than fear upon the people in the streets, feeling that this was perhaps a terrorist attack.
It does certainly seem like this was not unintentional. The FBI, of course, is investigating reports that there was a hijacking right before the crash. All three local airports have been ordered shut down, and New York airspace is officially frozen as people try to figure out what's going on here. If one of the towers, of course, that was hit is home to television and radio antenna.
Well, Ben, I think you heard what I said the other day. I saw a graphic. I don't know. I think you were on the show when I said it. That I saw a meme or a graphic or a map, and it showed each state and who each state disliked the most. Like, for example, I think for New York, it said that we dislike New Jersey the most. I think for, Texas, it said they dislike Oklahoma the most. I think it's mainly based on sports rivalries, like the Michigan hates Ohio hates Michigan. Yeah, you were here. New Jersey is the only state where they were listed as New Jersey hates everyone. If it's not New Jersey, they don't like it. It's not for them. New Jersey hates everyone. They don't like it. They don't like New York. They don't like Connecticut. They don't like Pennsylvania. It's Jersey, and that's it.
Force were struck by bombers back in 1993, but unfortunately, that looks like a minor affair compared to what has happened here this morning. President is expected to comment sometime in the next few minutes on what's happened here this morning, but at this point we have relatively little official word on what has happened. We only know what we have been seeing and what...
It's because the attack was still ongoing. There were still planes in the air. There were fighter jets in the air.
Including Donald, and I'm sorry I forgot your last name.
I'll never forget hearing those fighter jets over Manhattan. When we were walking home from Manhattan, clear day like this, you could see them. You can hear them. I'll obviously never forget the day, but crossing the Manhattan Bridge, the burning skyline to the right, the ash and the soot all over, and then you hear them. You hear the fighter jets. And now, obviously, everyone's on edge. So as soon as anyone heard a plane, because there were so many rumors, there were so many friggin' rumors when we were walking the streets. You have to remember, I walked from 16th Street all the way over the Manhattan Bridge. That's a pretty decent walk. But there was not one car on the road. The streets were empty. It was all just people walking. There was not one taxi cab. That's something that everyone noticed right away. Everyone noticed that right away. The taxi cabs were gone. They went in hiding. They were gone. Gone. As soon as that plane hit, those taxi cabs were gone. There were no cars on the road. So, when you're walking, you're in a group of people, you're in the middle of Manhattan, you could hear everything. There's no cars. So you could hear everything. So you could hear the fire engines. You could hear the sirens. You could hear the helicopters overhead, fighter jets overhead. But you could also hear all the rumors. There were rumors about more planes in the sky. All you would hear is, hurry up, get downtown, because now they're going to hit Midtown. They're coming from Midtown. They're going to hit the Empire State Building next. Get downtown. They're going to hit the Empire State Building. There was rumors that Disney got hit. I was convinced before I got home, in my head, I thought Disney World, a plane flew into Disney World. That's because that's what everyone was saying on the street. Oh, this plane's missing. A plane went down. There's a plane heading towards Disney. There's a plane heading towards this. There's a plane heading towards the Empire State Building. There's a plane heading towards the George Washington Bridge. Get downtown. They hit chaos. Hey, William Brooklyn. Hey, nice move yesterday, William. Nice move yesterday. I watched that. That was awesome, man. I won't say anything. I won't bring people to that channel. Although my channel, by the people from my chat, it wouldn't matter. You know that. But that was cool. It was nice seeing you yesterday, William. Even though I have seen you before, but I think it was cool. That was awesome what you did, and I think it was nice for those chat members to see you and to see that you're a nice guy. Because you are. You're a decent, Brooklyn guy. You're a nice human being. You're a nice guy. No doubt about that. And you definitely had your muscle with you. Holy crap, who was that guy? Be fair warned, YouTube. If you're going to mess with William Brooklyn, make sure he doesn't have his buddy with him. Because, holy crap. Make sure William Brooklyn is alone. You don't want to mess with him when he's chilling with his buddy. Let me just tell you something. Let me tell you, I did see it, William. That was good. That was a crazy stream. That stream started off like a friggin' MobTube stream. He was in some mood yesterday. Oh, Maron. He was in some mood. I was like, well, what am I watching? The guy in Pennsylvania over here? What is this? I'm gonna shut down the stream. Crazy how they don't just block in those streams, though, right? Unbelievable. Yeah, William is a good dude, Tommy. He was on another stream in not Action Kids channel, but that same genre, Tommy. That same genre channel you would probably like, although he does mainly Coney Island and downtown, and he does a lot of Manhattan. But that person was walking around downtown Brooklyn yesterday, and William was in the chat. I know William. I see William in that chat quite often. And William was like, hey, stop by for a beer. So the guy was like, all right, I could use a beer right now. And William was sitting there with his buddy waiting there to get a gentleman a beer. And the gentleman stopped, he put his camera down, had a nice conversation with William. And you could just tell, William, he's just a normal guy. You could just tell. Just a normal human being. Let's see where we are in the news here. Yeah, Dean. William was a good boy yesterday. William was good yesterday.
All right, and let's hear what President Bush had to say about this a few minutes ago live on 1010 Wins.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
And that is indeed what it would appear to be, with the 2 planes hitting just moments apart, and definitely the look of a deliberate act about it. 1010 Wins reporter Juliet Papa is down on 14th Street, and Juliet, what's the situation?
That's where I was. I was on 16th Street.
Driving down 9th Avenue to head to the scene, but
I was on 16th between 5th and 6th. We walked down Broadway.
And as I'm here on 14th Street, right around Bleecker, I have a bird's eye view of this gaping hole, which is several stories high at the top end of the Trade Center, and smoke is just billowing out. People around here are just standing. They're on their cell phones. They have cameras with them because it is a clear view. It's a clear day. The smoke is gray. It continues to billow out, and you see this gaping hole near the top end of the World Trade Center. It looks like it's about, 20 stories down from the top, but it is about several stories high, and it is facing north. So as I'm traveling south, I can see the hole clearly as some of the smoke now is rising, and you can see the hole even better than I did just a couple of minutes ago. It is just an amazing, incredible, horrible sight. People standing here in awe, just dumbfounded. People looking very...
Tommy, your girlfriend was in Disney when it happened. Sorry if I'm missing the chat. I know I'm definitely missing some in there. So I wonder. Yeah, I remember that distinctly, Thomas. I remember that being the rumor on the street.
They are filled with people or victims. We don't know yet. We don't have a clear idea yet of the tragedy here.
Well, look at the size of the holes and the...
What is it with today? People cut me off today. Is it me? Do I have a sign on my vehicle today that says, you know what? Skip's in a crabby mood. Why don't you guys just test him his whole fucking ride to fucking Pennsylvania, basically?
Sorry, here that these 2 incidents this morning. 2 planes flying into both towers of the World Trade Center. This does not have the markings of an accident. Let's go to 1010 Winds reporter Steve Kastenbaum.
To
He's
cut me
watching
off to then
from
do that?
Brooklyn. That is the direction where the smoke from this disaster is blowing. Steve?
Well, Lee, as you can hear me, ambulances, fire equipment, and police cars and emergency vehicles all rushing into Manhattan still at this time. You can hear all over the borough the sirening towards the Brooklyn and Manhattan bridges, the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel. And here in downtown Brooklyn, you can see
that was the premise to the Tunnels to Towers. That Tunnels to Towers Foundation was based off of that. Like I said, so many firefighters lived in Brooklyn. They heard what happened and they just started heading towards Manhattan. They all went. It was an all hands on deck call. Everyone was called in, retired, active, everyone.
Must be empty because everybody is out on the sidewalks. They are all staring up at the World Trade Centers. They are quiet. They are solemn. They are looking at this in total disbelief. Of course, as you mentioned before, obviously a terrible loss of life in this. No word yet on what's going on the floors above where these airplanes have struck the World Trade Centers. The first explosion, we felt it here in Brooklyn a little bit after 8:45, and then around 10 after 9, the second explosion. It rocked the whole area. My windows in my apartment building rattled.
Steve, I'm going to interrupt you because we're being pressed into public service here. The New York City Fire Department is issuing a call for a total recall of all officers and firefighters. You should all report to your companies. Again, if you are a New York City firefighter, drop what you're doing, report to your company. A major disaster is occurring in New York City this morning.
Did you just hear that? Let me replay that because I'm pretty sure that's literally what I just said. And that was the call for it on the radio. They called everyone in. So everyone was going into the city that day. Listen again. Listen to this.
What's going on the floors above where these airplanes have struck the World Trade Centers. The first explosion, we felt it here in Brooklyn a little bit after 8:45, and then around 10 after 9, the second explosion. It rocked the whole area. My windows in my apartment building rattled.
Steve, I'm going to interrupt you because we're being pressed into public service here. The New York City Fire Department is issuing a call for a total recall of all officers and firefighters. You should all report to your companies. Again, if you are a New York City firefighter, drop what you're doing, report to your company. A major disaster is occurring in New York City.
That's chilling. Oh my God, I just got the chills. Oh, I just got the fucking chills. That was it. That was the call in. That was the call. Everyone, all firefighters, head to the World Trade Center.
American Airlines, no comment from there. But one of the planes was American.
But Tunnels for Towers was based on that. It was based on those guys. They couldn't get the truck through the tunnel into they walked. They ran through the tunnels into Manhattan.
And Lee, I was a lot closer than that. I got down to Church Street. I was standing right in between the two towers, which, as you can see on your television screen, the smoke, the black smoke and fire is just...
I'm good, cause I'm all right. I just need to get, I need like, well, I'm okay. I'm okay, cuz.
They heard the two explosions that they heard in the north first, and then a couple of electricians were upstairs on the 85th floor. They said that as they were coming down, everyone said, "You're going to be okay, just get out of the building." They heard this tremendous bang, this explosion, and as you said on the air, they believe that a second plane had hit the south tower. So apparently both towers were hit. The flames up in the air. The street, I'm in a record store right now about 5 or 6 blocks away, so you can't appreciate it. You're not hearing the sounds that I heard out in the street. It is full of sirens, ambulances, fire trucks are out there. People are just walking in all directions, trying to make contact, trying to call their loved ones. There are women down here who tell me that their husbands work up on the top floors. They are in absolute panic, trying to get pay phones that work. Some people are able to communicate through cell phones. I have not been able to, but I can tell you right now, it looks like a war zone. Church Street. There is debris all over. It would be almost impossible to drive.
Yeah, Tommy. Right, I'd have to imagine that. Yeah, all the local fire departments here in Jersey sent folks over also. Yeah, of course. I wonder if they were walking through the Lincoln Tunnel, the Holland Tunnel. But yeah, no, and Tommy, I think you missed it in the beginning. when I first got on, I said I was watching this morning on the local news. As you know, they do the reading of the names, right? They have the families up there. It was actually, let me sidetrack a little bit. Again, another fascinating thing to see was, we know what happened last night in Philadelphia. We know last night there was a contentious debate between the candidates for the next president of the United States. This morning in downtown Manhattan in New York City, in a line, sitting right next to each other, in this order, you had Vice President Kamala Harris, current President Joe Biden, former Mayor Michael Bloomberg in between, then former President Donald Trump, and his running mate Vance, all right next to each other this morning at that ceremony. That is symbolism at its highest degree. We're in a contentious race right now, but yet the next morning, the five of them, because you have the two sides, plus Bloomberg in the middle, who Bloomberg's been a Republican, he's been a Democrat, he's been an independent, he's tried to take your soda away from you, but then, he's everywhere. But to have them sitting there at the ceremony, but Tommy, back to my point, what I find fascinating every year is when they read the names of the people that died in the Twin Towers. So many of those people were not from New York City, which makes sense. It makes sense. New York City has always been such a transient spot. We've always welcomed in people from all the surrounding areas. People from New York City love to leave and go to the suburbs, but then come back to work in New York City. So when they're reading all the names of the people that passed away, yeah, sure, you see a lot of, Hoboken, New Jersey, Greenwich, Connecticut, Poughkeepsie, New York, Belleville, New Jersey, Jersey City, tons of people commuted into New York City every day from New Jersey. They might have been originally from New York, or they might be lifelong New Jersey folk like Tommy Stiggs, but just had a job in New York. But so many people from Connecticut, a lot of people from Boston. I think that had to do also with the flights. I believe the flights came out of Boston. I better slow down before I get clipped over here. These Jersey cops, Let's see what's going on. 10-10 wins.
He's down in the village gauging the situation there, Stan.
Right, Lee, I'm on 7. I'm going to have to turn into 7th Avenue South and see how far I can go down here. But I have to see somebody in another car, somebody I knew, and we were chatting as we were stuck in traffic. And he said, what do you think this does to the election? Which is an interesting question because the city seems to be in some ways at a standstill. People in the street gaping and...
The election that person is talking about it was primary day. It was primary day in New York City. It was a Tuesday. That confirms that. I thought it was a Tuesday, but yeah, it definitely was because it was primary day.
At the smoke, and I don't think it's really affecting a lot of people.
Okay, we have a bad connection with Stan again.
Hey, Cuban B, what's up, bud? We're listening to coverage of 10-10 Wins News from here, local in New York City, as the events occurred 23 years ago today. I am out in West Bumble, New Jersey. I'm on Route 80, heading towards Pennsylvania. I'm not going to Pennsylvania, but I'll be damn near close.
People are saying, but it's just a scene, just surreal. People out of their cars milling around. The tunnel apparently has been blocked off, and they're turning us around, and there's no entrance into Manhattan. But all I've been doing for the last half hour is sitting here on Helix, which provides a great view of this. But it's just a scene that I've never seen before. People standing around with their mouths open on cell phones trying to get a connection to get through. I finally was able to just a couple of minutes ago. And people just don't know what to do.
By Jan, we have a report now of a fire fire on the Washington Mall, and the West Wing of the White House has now been evacuated. Again, President Bush not in Washington when all this...
Bush is in Florida.
And we are...
Bush was in Florida reading a story to the school children.
This will sound familiar. An Associated Press reporter says he saw the tail end of a large airliner plunge into the building. That would perhaps account for the fire that is being reported at this hour at the Pentagon. An Associated Press reporter saying that he saw the tail end of a large airliner plunge into the building. Of course, this is essentially what happened at the World Trade Center. Both towers hit by aircraft this morning. And confirmation now that an aircraft crashed near the Pentagon and the West Wing of the White House was evacuated due to threats of terrorism. This is getting hard to keep up with. It's a significant fire at the Pentagon. Smoke on the west side of the building. It's being evacuated, and a report that a plane may have crashed into it. The police force at the Pentagon is keeping security extremely tight. The West Wing of the White House has been evacuated as a possible precaution as well. President Bush was not there at when all this occurred. He was in Sarasota, Florida, where he made this remark.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
So to summarize where things stand at this point, we've had 2 planes crash into each of the twin towers of the World Trade Center. A report now that a plane has crashed into the Pentagon, and the White House, where President Bush was not. He was in Sarasota, Florida, has been evacuated. Mr. Bush is making his way back to Washington. So the country and the city appear to be in the throes of a terrorist attack at this time. 1010 Wins editor Jim Maloney is at the Lincoln Tunnel, where he was trying to get back into the city. And the tunnels, both the Lincoln and the Holland and the George Washington Bridge as well, have been closed down as a precaution. The 3 major airports in the New York City area have also been closed down, and all of the airspace over New York City has been frozen. Let's go back to 1010 Wins newsman John Montone. He's about 4, 5, 6 blocks away.
Not evenly, a little closer than that, and I did not.
John Montone. The sound of 1010 Wins. John Montone.
But now that you have mentioned it, I will tell you that almost everyone I have spoken to on the street as I was running down to the World Trade Center said the same thing, that from what they had either heard from other people or had been able to glimpse by themselves, they said it appeared as if the planes made a beeline for the Twin Towers.
Obviously.
One fellow said, unless they collided and hit, it appeared to me that they meant to hit the Twin Towers. And I think that most of the people out on the streets believe that. And as I mentioned just a moment ago...
Look at this. 18-wheelers cutting me off now, too. What a day. 18-wheelers in the left lane. 18-wheelers with blinkers on doing 20 miles per hour in the right lane. What is going on over here? It's pretty dangerous, folks. Pretty dangerous.
3 blocks away, I'm at a store called Record Explosion on Broadway, and these folks are nice enough. I'm going to try to go back out, talk to some more people, gather as much information as I can, and hopefully I'll be back on with you as soon as possible. Do you have any questions I could answer for you now?
Well, I'll tell you what, you get your act together and your thoughts together, and we'll go to 1010 Wins newsman James Faraday, who has an update on the national situation.
Wow, I'm close, Stiggs, already. Look at this. I think this is my exit over here.
This morning, late word at
yeah.
Washington. From a source in the nation's capital, the White House has been threatened with a terrorist attack. That word coming just moments ago. The West Wing of the White House has been evacuated as a precaution. Also, there is a fire and an explosion at the Pentagon this morning. The very seat of our nation's defense apparently been targeted for another terrorist attack. A radio reporter says he saw a large airliner crash into the Pentagon, and of course there are now like what we saw with the World Trade Center earlier. The large plumes of black smoke now being seen from the Pentagon and over the Washington Mall, where there is a fire as well.
Also in Chicago, a report of the Sears Tower being evacuated. The situation there, no apparent terrorist threat to speak of, at least at this moment, but an evacuation that is being taken as a precaution at this time.
James, let's go back to 1010.
Please, if I can break in for just a moment, this late word just coming into us. The FAA has closed off all airports across the country. No takeoffs, no landings now. That word coming in from the FAA just moments ago. All airports nationwide shut down.
Okay, developments coming fast and furious this morning. Obviously, a major and very serious situation underway in New York City this morning.
Tommy, it's fascinating. Yeah,
all takeoffs.
It's fascinating to listen to this. It really is. And I can kind of like, I can relate into the kind of like, just because I was so young, yes, but I can relate to the kind of like, just like I said, the rumors, just being on the street because there was no cars, it was so quiet, just people everywhere. So there was just so like, what's getting hit next? There's more planes in the air. This got hit, that got hit. Like it was just such chaos. It was such chaos. It was unbelievable chaos, and just so much of it was unknown as it was going on.
About 5 minutes ago, which seems like it was internal.
Oh, one of my favorite towns over here, Tommy, Bud Lake. I don't know why, I just like this town. I like the lake too. I mean, the lake's kind of cool.
I don't see any intensifier from the...
So right now we're on Route 46. Route 46 is a major east-west, left-right thoroughfare. It's a state road in the state of New Jersey. Or is it U.S. road? Is it U.S. 46, Tommy? I think it's a U.S. 46. Anyway, Route 46, major east-west intersection, runs all the way right to the George Washington Bridge. It's actually a shortcut a lot of people like to take to the George Washington Bridge as opposed to taking 80 or the Turnpike. You can take 46 right to it, but it goes all the way out to here. It's way out here. I'm almost to Pennsylvania. I think at some point I hit a sign where it says how far I am from the Pennsylvania line, but yeah, Route 46, way out in Bud Lake, New Jersey. How you doing? Listening to coverage, 1010 Wins News, the morning of September 11th, 23 days ago today. As Tommy said, still trying to, Curtis and Kubi were on. Yeah, I was trying to find 770. I couldn't find that replay. This was one I was able to find. I found Opie and Anthony. I found WFAN, the sports radio, Mike Francesa and all them. I couldn't find the Curtis and Kubi, Curtis and the Liberal. Oh, really? Tommy, shit, I didn't realize that. I did not know that about Bud Lake. I know, I pass it all the time coming out to these clients out here in Hackettstown. And I know there's a cool 7-Eleven coming up here on the left that I've stopped at a few times. And just to kind of take in the view of the lake, you'll be able to see the lake on the right-hand side here. It's huge. It's massive. It looks like it should be a friggin', I don't know. It's Jersey. What do you expect in Jersey?
Into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
And all airports nationwide have been closed down at least until 5 p.m. today as a precaution. The George Washington Bridge, the Lincoln and the Holland tunnels, they are also closed now. Let's go to 1010 Wins reporter Eileen LaPalmer. She is at City Hall. Eileen?
Well, Lee, I'm here live outside of City Hall. The entire, as you can imagine, it is absolute chaos here. The entire city has come to a standstill. Everyone just standing, looking at the smoke pouring out of the World Trade Center at this moment. There are certain people trying to call their families. All the cell phones are down, as you can imagine, since they are at the World Trade Center is the antennas where people would be calling on the cell phones. Therefore, people are lining up around the block just to use a payphone at this point. Everyone's still trying to figure out what's going on.
Payphones.
Supposed to be in the World Trade Center today at this very moment. Again, at this point, everything is shut down. The Woolworth building has been evacuated. City Hall is shut down and also has been evacuated. We will bring you more as soon as we have it. Eileen LaPalmer, 1010 Wins, live outside of City Hall.
Okay, and now we have word from Washington that the Capitol and the Treasury are being evacuated. This in addition to the White House and to the Pentagon. The Pentagon apparently having been hit by a plane this morning, not unlike the World Trade Center Twin Towers, both of which appear to have
It's
been...
unbelievable how he's reporting it, Tommy. It's crazy. It's like, well, I guess they hit it. I guess the Pentagon hit by a plane too. I don't know.
American airliner out of Boston. No comments so far from American Airlines.
American Airlines out of Boston. That's what I thought. Out of Boston Logan.
It is closed. That's probably not a bad thing, as the Dow futures were down a massive 150 points, apparently on the news of what had transpired here in New York City this morning. If you are a New York City firefighter, you are ordered to report to your station immediately. We need the help this morning with a major disaster unfolding in New York City, and the world has changed markedly in little less than an hour. When we first got word that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center, we then saw a second plane crash into the second tower of the World Trade Center. We later got word of a plane apparently crashing into the Pentagon, word that the White House had been evacuated, now the Capitol and the Treasury.
So Tommy, I am listening to this on YouTube on my second device. I have it playing. There's a playlist. The channel is called 911 News Coverage, but they have a playlist of 1010 Wins News per the hour. So this is the second hour, and it just plays automatically. I have hour by hour by hour by hour. I'm not going to be able to make it to when the towers go down, because that then changes it again. But maybe you can do that later or whatever. But it's the channel itself that I found this on. It's one word: 911 News Coverage is the channel, and it's just YouTube. It's just a playlist that has hour by hour of the 1010 Wins recordings. And hey, ALV, yes, I believe I am in your neck of the woods, although I don't know exactly where you live, and I wouldn't dox you if I did. I only dox Tommy Stiggs. Yeah, I'm out here in the countryside, I guess you call it. I love it out here. This is my favorite area coming. I love coming out here. I love in particular, well, I like it here, but I think I like this, I like traveling between here and Clinton, if that makes sense. Like up here, we're up by like 80. Clinton's down by like 78. I love the areas in between, all that farmland in between, Anthony. I think there's a town called like Califon and White House Station, kind of like all the earthquake areas. Yeah, big fan of it. Big fan. ALV, I'm heading to Hackettstown. I have a client in Hackettstown that I must attend to. Hackettstown, the home of Centenary University, actually, where one of my very good friends is the head baseball coach at Centenary University. Shout out to Rome's. Gianni Catalano, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, Gianni? Hope you're well. Thanks for stopping in, Gianni. Yeah, Stiggs, I know. You've doxed yourself, you've doxed the stoop, you've doxed your freaking everything, your car, your work. I don't think you've technically doxed your work. I know where you work because I've been able to figure it out. But I don't think you've actually doxed your work. Believe me, I mean, I was talking to Theen knows. We were talking about yesterday. The amount of people I could dox if I wanted to dox, forget about it. Forget about it. Yeah, ALV, my GPS says, yeah, I'm at this crazy wind on 46, this like wind road on 46 here after Bud Lake. Yeah, 5 minutes, literally, ALV. That's what my GPS says. I'll be there at 11:57.
Oh, I saw the building crumble. It's all the way down. I can't see it.
Oh, we missed it. Crap. Let me go back a little. Building just went down. Let's listen real quick. Let's listen. This is the first building going down. Second building that got hit, first to go down.
Unbelievable.
Word now that a plane has crashed into the Pentagon. It has been evacuated along with the west wing of the White House. The Treasury has been evacuated. The Capitol evacuated. The Sears Tower in Chicago has been evacuated. There was no threat of an attack against the Sears Tower, but they're obviously going to quit while they're ahead there. And all of this, the world...
Oh, wait. Oh, my God. The
Which
Oh my God, the south building just crumbled from the top. Oh my God, the building just fell. The entire World Trade Center on the south building just fell. I just saw the whole thing. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't see anything now. The whole thing went down.
What?
Oh my God.
Can you believe this? Can you believe this?
I saw the building crumble. It's all the way down. I can't see at what point it's still standing. Oh my God.
What
Oh my
Joan
God.
is saying is true.
ALV, why am I hitting traffic right now in West Bumble? You know what? That I got to try to go around this traffic right now.
This is 1010 wins.
Ben, this is insane, Ben. It really is.
One of
It's
the
completely down.
two towers, the south tower of the World Trade Center, has just crumbled, collapsed in a pile of dust. This approximately less than an hour after it was hit by an aircraft.
The second building completely down.
You know what I'm saying?
You heard the first. I was up here and saw it. Me too.
A situation that started bad just gets worse and worse and worse. The World Trade Center, South Tower, which was hit by a plane and wrecked by an explosion approximately an hour ago, has totally collapsed. The North Tower is still standing, but the World Trade Center South Tower has collapsed. Let's go live to CNN for a moment.
A big black billowing cloud of smoke that is rising over the Pentagon.
See, right, what that changed everything because I think just emotionally, I mean, when the first plane hit, then the second plane hit, and it's like, all right, like we know we're under attack. We know obviously we just lost all those people in those planes. But then it was kind of like, all right, how do we get these people out of the building? But then once it goes down and you see the building go down, the only thing you can think of is, oh, you know, how many people just died? Yankees for life, how you doing? You know, it just became so visual, like, you know, wow, I just watched 1,000 people die in a building. Just went down. Nuts. Turn this around so I don't, out of respect for my clients, because I am a couple of minutes away. It is down the block. But Yankees for life. Thanks for joining, man. But yeah, so in the news coverage, basically that's were we on to the third hour already? Fascinating. I mean, then the second building goes down, but just to, because I guess before they go down, you have two buildings, they're on fire, and it's like, all right, well, you know, how do we're obviously under attack, they're flying, you know, but then to see it just go down, and then I don't know if everyone at that point, I feel, from what I can remember, I feel like it was like a 50-50 split whether or not people thought the second one was going to go down. I feel like it was kind of like, you had people like, well, obviously the second one, but then it was like, well, the second one might not. What a day.
Casualties. Obviously, there are going to be more than a few in the wake of this. If you're just joining us this morning, you're in for a horrific surprise. Both buildings of the World Trade Center have been hit by aircraft, and the South Tower of the World Trade Center has apparently collapsed in a pile of dust. Let's go to 1010 Wins editor Jim Maloney. He was in Hoboken waiting to get into the tunnel when this happened. Jim?
Yoli, and the scene here is just one right out of one of those movies you would see in Hollywood. People walking around with cell phones.
Unbelievable. Yeah, now they're talking about the Jersey ramifications. Obviously, you had a lot of people from Jersey that were in Manhattan, needed to get home. Yeah, like Tommy Stig said, a lot of people from New Jersey went over to help. We were all one.
World Trade Center when it went down, and
we were all one that day.
Stuck at the Lincoln Tunnel. All of the tunnels, both leading from New Jersey into New York City, have been shut down, as the George Washington Bridge. All air traffic.
Yeah, Tommy, that's the thing. Like once you visually just saw that thing go down, it was like, yeah, again, no one really knew what was going on. It just kind of kept compounding to the point where it's like, and the second one goes down. What a day. What a day. Let me stop this. Which one was this one? So this was from we just hit the 10 o'clock coverage. So right now, real time, it was about 10:05. Yeah, Gianni, he just mentioned the black smoke. Yeah, clear blue sky, Gianni, just like today. Yeah, and I remember vividly, because I had to walk home. So I had to walk home over the Manhattan Bridge. And walk home over the Manhattan Bridge, and to your right, William Brooklyn, that show that you were on yesterday, that was my ride. That was my walk over the Manhattan Bridge from Manhattan to Brooklyn. But to the right was the Brooklyn Bridge and then the skyline. So by the time that I was walking over the bridge, both buildings were down. So it was just a smoke pile. Just a smoke pile. It was crazy. It was so crazy. All right, Stiggs. Yeah, I'm about to head into do my thing here too. I'll see you over at Dean Dues in a couple hours. Yep. Yeah. No. This was a day. Some part of me wishes I was a little older on that day. Part of me is happy that I was just in high school. I remember it like it was yesterday. But I feel like I remember all the emotions. I remember all the emotions around me. But I think it was more just me absorbing what was around me. I feel like if I was an adult already, if I was already, say, 35 years old or 40 years old or 45 years old, I'm assuming I would have viewed the day differently. Maybe I would have been more scared. Maybe I would have been less scared. I don't know. I was right in that, I was an adult. Yeah, it was just a weird time. It was a weird time. Ben, wow. Huh. So you're 10, yeah, oh yeah, you sure were a kid. You're wow. You're like my younger sister's age. Yeah, that generation, your generation, Ben, really had to learn about it. I was kind of that last, I remember it. My sister doesn't remember it. I also was in Manhattan, so it was kind of, but I had plenty of friends my age that were going to high school in Brooklyn and, that had experiences with it. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, Gianni, I was in high school. It was 23 years ago. Yeah, it was 2021. I was in high school. 38 years old. So I wonder, because I know I was a kid, but I wasn't young enough that I didn't know what was going on. I was in high school and we were under attack and I needed to get home. How I got home is a crazy story. Who I went home with, the house I ended up in. My father had just had a massive stroke the year before, and my school wasn't releasing people from school unless your parent came to pick you up. So I had to have a friend of the family from Gravesend come get me. It was wild. But anyway, I got a scoot. Yeah, it was in 2001, Ben. It was in 2001. So I don't think you knew what was going on too much there, Ben. Are you from the area? Are you from New York? Were your parents involved? Were you here? I'll wait for that answer right before were you from Jersey? I know Stig sent you over to this chat. I don't know if you're a Jersey guy or not. Yeah, Johnny, I'm sure you were in your heyday. That was your day, right? That was your heyday, Gianni? Yeah, I was in biology lab. Mr. Hamilton. I'll never forget, too, Mr. Hamilton, he turns on the TVs. And Miss Lamore, who was in the classroom next door, I never had her as a teacher, and may she rest in peace, she actually passed away. She came in, she looked at the TV, and she just started hysterically crying. I'll never forget this woman just crying and crying. Old woman, and now, you know, we're in high school, and this woman's like a, you know, at the time, maybe she was in her early 60s, and she's just crying. And we're just sitting there like, damn. You know, I don't think we got it at that moment, because I think, you know, when she saw that the second plane hit is when she started hysterically crying. And I think that's maybe was the difference between the adults and the child mind, where we were kind of like, ooh, that's on purpose. We better watch out they don't hit anything else. Where to her, she must have just at that moment known, like, we're going to war. We're sending our boys to the Middle East. That's what this means. As an adult, that probably must have clicked like right away. Like, wow. Anyone that I know that's in the military, ages 18, 17, or whatever, you guys are going to war. We're going to war. And I think that's probably where maybe the adult mind, where I've been thinking at that time, like, we just lost a lot of people. We're probably going to lose a lot more people. This is not going to end well. You lived in Virginia, and you were in Virginia during the DT shooting. Oh, wow. Okay. I remember that. Montouk, as Steen Du would say, or as us people from that, you know, down here that know Long Island and know New York would say, Montauk, how you doing? Moved from Appleton, Wisconsin to Richmond, Virginia. That's interesting, Ben. My dad was part of the bakery union out of Richmond. Interesting. That's very cool. Very cool. I've never been like to Richmond. I've been through it on trips to 95. It always turns out like when you're going down to Florida, you kind of need gas right when you hit Richmond. Interesting. Never been to Wisconsin. My girl was there a few weeks ago for work. She was in Milwaukee, and she brought me back some cheese. It was very good. Very good. Montauk, I hope you well, Montauk. Really hope you well. But I gotta go. It's 12:06. I gotta run into this customer. This has been wonderful. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to that with me during this ride. I always like listening to that. It just really, it kind of puts things into perspective. It really does. Kind of how everything was going on at the time. Very fascinating. Gianni, I was talking about that soot, that dust. It was all over me. It was all over my shoes because I was, you know, I was basically dressed business casual. I had a shirt, tie, or a polo on at the time, dress pants, dress shoes, and that soot, that dust, I explained it before, Gianni. It smelled like a combination of electrical fire and death. You know the smell of death? And mix it in with like electrical fire, that smell. Ugh. It was all over. It was all over. Ugh. And again, Gianni, I told the story. My parent, you know, the wind was blowing towards Brooklyn, so we had papers, financial documents, all stuff from the World Trade Center, you know, stock trades, all different crap papers from the World Trade Center. Paper, because you have to remember also, think of how much more paper was in the World Trade Center in 2000 as opposed to how much actual paper is in one World Trade Center today. You know, yeah, technology was here, cell phones were kind of here, but still a lot of like the traders, the equities, the stock markets, a lot of it was still paper, a lot of, you know, printed out statements at the end of the day. My mother threw away all the papers. She said she couldn't take it. Made her depressed to have the papers. And still to this day, I break a chop saying, no, those are artifacts. But they smell, even the papers had that smell, that white, that, ugh. Ugh. But yeah, actually, I'll tell the story on Thindu, maybe. But craziness. All right, I gotta run. I gotta go work. I gotta do some things over here. I'm out in ALV land, West Bumble F USA out here. Although I love it, I do. But it is nice and peaceful and relaxing. There's mountains all around. Everything's green. There's all grass and trees. It's parking lots. It's wonderful. All right, I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys over at Thindu 230. Have a wonderful day. And thank you for joining. As always, it's always very much appreciated. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you.